distinction between this mission and the European Union delegation. So we do represent the European Union together, but we are two separate entities. So the European Union mission is here since early January, and our core team, some of whom you see here this afternoon, will be here until late April the 11th, and we will complete our reporting process within 3 months after today. And we will provide a final report with conclusions and recommendations. What you were describing in terms of EU investment in the democratic and governance process here in Nigeria is outside of our mandate. Nevertheless, it is important for us to be impactful and that the work we do is useful for Nigerians in particular. And in our engagement with political participants, but also especially with CSOs, civil society organizations, we have been reminded that the European Union's reports arising from these electoral processes have value and meaning. And we also carried out a follow-up mission from the last presidential elections in 2019, just a year ago. And we were able to identify progress that was made against some of the recommendations from 2019. So naturally there is some disappointment about the events over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but we will commit fully. This is why we have such a team of experts, why we're here for the long haul, why we've been here throughout the process, not just for election days itself, because we are committed to Nigerian democracy on behalf of the people of Nigeria. In relation to the infractions that you mentioned, again, I'm sorry to say that it's outside of our mandate to talk about the way in which investigations should take place or prosecutions should follow, indeed convictions. And these are a matter for the criminal authorities. And as I mentioned before, we would encourage anybody with a grievance or who has evidence in relation to a grievance to share that with the appropriate legal authorities and to pursue those grievances in the appropriate legal channels. Thank you. Our observers noted that most polling units opened on time, with materials present and election officials ready to serve the voter. However, there was less pressure on INEC operations throughout the day, owing to a dismal level of voter participation. Vote buying, also directly observed by EU EOM observers, further detracted from an appropriate conduct of the election in many places. The use of election technology was more efficient this time around. By midday yesterday, gubernatorial race results forms available online range from 62 to 97%, depending on the state. A notable change if compared to the 25th of February election, when more than a quarter of presidential result forms were still missing at the declaration of the results on the 1st of March. Some 11,000 candidates competed in the state elections, among whom only a bare 10% were women. Notably, lead political parties fielded only 2 female candidates for highly prized governor seats. It demonstrates a clear underrepresentation of women in political life. Most importantly, it also shows the lack of internal party policies to support and promote inclusion of women. And let me also remind you that it is almost 40 years since Nigeria signed up to the United Nations Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, and in so doing committed to eradicate discrimination against women in political life.